Hello, welcome to my weekly update. So I've been trying to, for quite some time now, get better at just doing social media and going live on TikTok or Facebook or wherever. And this past, actually yesterday and then also on Thursday, I had like an awesome topic to go live about, which was the FDA's Pharmacy Compounding Advisory Committee was meeting to review 7 different peptides to decide whether or not they were going to ease restrictions. It would also, it would be the decision that determines whether or not these peptides can be compounded in compounding pharmacies. So it's a huge deal because this decision is going to decide whether or not these peptides become more mainstream, or actually I shouldn't say more mainstream, just probably mainstream. You know, there's a lot of fanfare and, the volume on peptides is turned way up right now, the GLP-1s and everything else. So it will be interesting to see what they say after coming out of this review. But from what I understand, the deck is being already majorly stacked against the approval or, giving compounding pharmacies the okay to go ahead and dispense these compounds. So, and from what I was reading, there are two ways this is being done. So first of all, the FDA is stating that there is insufficient evidence to prove the effectiveness of peptides, and they're citing a lack of clinical trials as their explanation. And I could go on for forever about clinical trials and how I feel about them in general, but I'm not going to get too deep into that topic. I will say this though, they are, and most people already know this, they are insanely expensive. They are very time consuming. They take a very long time to finish, and they are also insanely complicated. So what that means is that really the only entities that can afford to do these clinical trials are these super large pharmaceutical companies. And when peptides, they can't be patented because they're naturally, occurring compounds. Why would they shell out money to go through clinical trials with something that they can't patent and corner the market on, like we've seen so many times in the past with new drugs as they come out? So it's, I don't know, it's frustrating because I feel like there's always a catch. There's always something, that's preventing these peptides or peptides in general from becoming more mainstream. And the second thing that is really kind of stacked against this decision going in the way that I personally would like to see it go is that the information that the FDA does have is old. So they're using information that isn't even current. It doesn't I don't know. I just get so stressed out and worked up over this topic because peptides have been, they changed my life. They healed my brain damage. They healed peripheral nerve damage. I wouldn't be here in this capacity like I am right now if it wasn't for peptide therapy. So it's very difficult for me not to get really worked up about this topic. And so it's going to be a huge decision. The 7 peptides that are under review right now are BPC 157, KPV, TB 500, MOTs-C, delta sleep-inducing peptide, which I could definitely use some of that, and also Semax and Epithalon. So those are the 7 that are currently being reviewed right now. And at the end of the day, this is what I know to be true about the peptide movement. It's already here. It's already kind of unfolding. People are learning more and more about them, and it hasn't stopped the peptides from being used. Like I know for me, I've used several that I didn't get from a compounding pharmacy. I had to source from other places, always use trusted sources and all of that. But what my point is that I think that most people who are dealing with health struggles here in the United States are tired of having more pharmaceuticals thrown at them as if that's the answer. So the movement is already here, it's already underway, and it doesn't really matter to some extent what the FDA determines because it's not going to stop this from happening. It's already happening. And what really kills me about all of this topic and this review that's happening is that the FDA is acting like they have to completely reinvent the peptide wheel, as if the science isn't already out there, as if other countries weren't already using peptides for literally decades. So to say that there's not enough science, to say there's not enough evidence is absolutely not what's happening here. So yeah, we will see what is, what kind of comes out of this. I am extremely anxious to get the answer. I don't know when that's going to be announced. I, of course, was on the internet both Thursday and Friday trying to see if maybe we had some kind of update about this, and I personally haven't seen one yet, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So I will be updating on here kind of as I learn more. I'm very, like I said, I'm chomping at the bit to see what it is that they're going to say about this, because I don't know. I know that the MAHA movement and RFK Jr. is really pushing towards things like peptides to be used more widely. And it just feels like the FDA isn't completely on board with some of that, but I'm also speculating. So there's that. But as for everything else this week, it's the same thing as the past few weeks. I am exhausted still. My sleep has been really disrupted. I'm stressed out. I am almost there to the point where I can get my new home squared away. Almost have everything lined up financially to where I can make that happen. I found a place I want to stay. I've just got to, come up with the last little bit that I need, and I will be moving. So I'm very much so looking forward to kind of launching my life from this point forward. I live in the Atlanta area. I've lived here for about 11 years, and I don't know my way around at all, because the only thing that I've done since I moved here was pretty much being in medical treatment. That's it. I was living in a place with toxic mold when I moved here, and it took a couple years, I think, to get me to the point that I was in and out of the emergency room and really just dying, essentially. But it's frustrating because to this day, I have not seen one practitioner that has everything with me all figured out. So that's really the story as to why I have this channel, because I want to document my journey from the point that I started until I'm better, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think that's it for this week. I don't really have anything else to update on. I'm still just plugging away at what I was last weekend. All right, I think that's it for this week. I will see you next. Take care. Bye.